All right, so I wanted to do a quick video on judging and having the balance between judgment and empathy. And it's something that actually I had this morning, an epiphany. Not an epiphany, but it was I was sorting through my clothes to see what clothes I'm gonna take to me with me to where I'm moving to, or which clothes does not serve me anymore, whether my style has changed, whether I just don't use it, whether they're holy and tarnished and don't really need to come with me. um I was judging these clothes, and I was throwing stuff away, and out of nowhere, the thought popped up of situations that I've judged. There was an actual particular conversation where someone told me I was being very judgmental, popped in my head, and I revisit that conversation as I was, packing and throwing stuff away, and I realized, damn, I was being very judgmental because I couldn't I couldn't really empathize with the situation, or I didn't at the moment. But then I revisited the conversation and I looked at it from that angle, and I realized, wow, how many situations may I have been in that I've judged instead of being empathetic. And it made me very sad. It made me very emotional, and I'm actually getting emotional now, but it made me sad, because I realized that even though I can't turn back the hands of time, how many people have I made feel judged in situations that just required a bit of empathy. Anyways, I get very emotional when I think about these things, and I try to draw out the lessons, and hopefully I can help, so other people can see that maybe empathizing before judging can really change the course of your relationship with others. Nobody wants to be around someone that they feel judged by, or someone that is constantly judging in a negative way, because you can judge things from a logical standpoint and judge more so to give advice or help, but not all judgment is good. Even if it's well intended, sometimes you don't. It just requires, some situations just require empathy, and that is for you to kind of determine for yourself what situations. It's for you to have discernment in which situations require your input or just your empathetic nature. Your logic or your emotions, your emotional intelligence, right? So I was going down that, revisiting the past. I do like astrology because astrology does tend to give me a meaning and reasoning sometimes. So I am a Cancer rising and a Taurus moon, so I kind of do plant seeds in the past, and I do tend to revisit them. So I was going just through my past experiences, and I'm like, wow, there was a lot of situations that just require for me to just try to see where someone is coming from, more so than just judging. And I think our natural inclination is sometimes to judge, because that keeps us it keeps a degree of separation from you and the situation. It's a protective layer. When you judge, is kind of, you protect yourself from being judged, and you protect yourself from whatever it is you feel that is a threat or is wrong, or whatever that the case may be. But anyways, I started thinking that there there needs to be a balance between empathy and judgment. Like, you you don't want to be so empathetic that you're not judging the situation correctly and you get taken advantage of. That could be a thing. A lot of empathetic people, where they empathize first and judge second, sometimes get taken advantage of. Um, and I think the reason why I feel like I've judged situations is because I'm also, in a sense, protecting myself. But there is very superficial situations where I'm just being an asshole and I'm judging. So you have to do the shadow work to know when you are just judging to be an asshole, or you're just judging out of protecting yourself. Um, but so this morning, as I was, going through those thoughts and that all of that, I I was very upset with myself, because of the situations that I judged. I was very upset, and I was like, God, you could have done things so much differently. You could have been so much better in certain situations. I was mad at myself, and then I started getting mad at the world, because I realized a lot of the judgments that I've casted was because they were casted upon me, or I witnessed others cast judgment on others, and if they're judging others based on that, then I felt that they would be judging me as well, you know. So I've seen a lot of people cast judgments that came from very unhealthy, very damaged places, and I think I internalized those judgments, and I figured that if they're judging them, they would judge me. And the last thing you want to do is be judged. You don't want to be around a person that is constantly, and people don't even like going to court. You don't like going to court. You know there's going to be a judgment, put on you, whether it's favorable or not, but you're going to be judged, and you're going to be sentenced. And sometimes in the more spiritual, mental, emotional realm, the judgment is the verdict, or the judgment that leads to a limiting belief. That's that's the sentence. You get sentenced to a limited belief based on that judgment, and nobody wants to um, go through life with the sentence of a limiting belief. Um, so be very careful. I made a video on how to be your best friend, in 3 easy steps, and I talked about the judge role. You want to be in the role of the judge, but you want to make sure that you're judging your morality. We're judging your morality. Are you being moral? Are you being empathetic? Are you being compassionate? Or do you need to fight fire with fire in the situation? Do you need to be a little bit more stern for yourself? Do you need more logic instead of so much empathy? You can judge that. That's healthy judgment. But you just don't want to judge someone on superficial things. You don't want to judge someone just because you feel threatened. Those are negative ways of judging. And you judge someone and you sentence them to a limiting belief, because you have yourself that limiting belief. That's wrong. That's wrong. I see it in the world constantly. I've seen the people that I grew up with, my parental figures. I've seen them judge themselves, harshly, and I've seen them cast judgment on the world harshly. And sometimes these judgments come from the worldview that you are under. Like, I'll say, your religious belief. Sometimes your religious belief um, makes you cast stone on someone if they're not living within that belief system. If someone is out of line, if someone is, I guess, a famous one is getting married out of wedlock, or all the stuff that happens within a belief system, or not. Is it Mary? Mary, I don't know what I'm talking about in that one, so I may cut that out. Um, but there's certain belief systems that is just that, a belief. They believe that if you go through life living like this, you will get to the ending of what they promise, eternal whatever, depending on the religious system. So if you live through that system, you make it to the end and you reach their heaven, right? That is a system that they design, and then you get judged. You are a sinner if you don't live within that belief system. If you don't act accordingly, You can ask for forgiveness on your on on your um on your actions, but ultimately you're asking because you feel guilt, you feel judgment, right? And some things are just what it is, what it is. That's why it's good for you to just live morally, to judge your morality. You can judge your morality for yourself. You can judge when, damn, that person is going through something. Let me be a little kinder. They're going through a lot. If I was going through all that, how would I react? Um, you can use your morality. You have a brain. You know when you get hurt. You know how it feels. So empathize. That is all, you empathize. Um, but yeah, so you cast stones sometimes based on these belief systems, um, without really empathizing with someone, because you are under the impression that if you do it this way, that's wrong.